Welcome to Dunsmore Moving Dirt. There's a little water in it, the hole this morning as we're back out here on the job. That's not nothing to worry about, and a lot of that from that brown dirt up to the edge of the hole, which will be about where them tall weeds are, that's just gonna be an everyday thing. Every night that water is going to seep into there, because that's all this creek from here to probably the fence has got water down in the bottom of the old creek. It's all covered up and a little old fine layer of gravel. But once I get back there to the edge of the hole, I mean, I can core it out and put a little clay in there, but water from the tank's not going to run uphill. It's always going to be coming down. Here's where you got to stop it. You got to stop it from going out here over there toward that other dam. So, which I've got that stopped now. That worked out good. I've got a lot of good clay packed in that slope, and I'll have it'll tie in and be over that area right there. So as I get some of that top stuff out, I'll keep putting it here, then I'll start mixing it with some clay and just start slowly backing up and going down. That's not the depth that the hole's going to be. That's probably like 5 to 6 foot at that depth there, being the depth that it's going to be when we're finished, which it'll be that out in the middle, not here at the toe of the slope. So everything's working pretty good. I just gotta kind of concentrate on this. This probably isn't tall enough yet. That's a spillway. I'd like to have about 4 foot of dam above the spillway, because that's going to get kind of pinched in there as it goes around, and when it gets pinched in, it stacks up. So I don't want it to go over the dam or it'll just make a mess. Of course, it's going to go right back into that hole, but still. And then I'm just kind of guessing what I mean, I could set the level up and shoot that down and figure my back toe and everything, but it's probably going to be pretty close to where I got that dirt pushed out there, because I want to slope it down. And I'm going to do a little bit more packing on this one than I would if it was just a other one, because I want that to be pretty tight right there in that curve, because there will be a little water against it, but it's going to be plenty thick and everything. So where we had to stop it, I got it stopped. That's down in the bottom, right where that gravel was at that depth through the center of the dam here, because if that hadn't have got stopped, the thing would have seeped water out of it all the time. So, but we've got that stopped, so I feel good about that. So anyway, I'll set the camera up. No rain today, just windy again, which is going to be windy. Seemed like every one day out here so far it wasn't too bad. So, and we're going to be out here. This is probably going to be a 2-week job, plus maybe a little bit extra if he wants to dig out that end. So I'll try to explain some stuff up in the morning before the wind starts blowing, and we'll do some of the evening. I got some drone shots earlier before the wind picked up. So I'll set the camera up and let you see that. I'm basically, this morning I'm gonna take this down a little bit, but then I still need to get over and get some more edge into some of that and get some of that out. That's not bad, but I don't really want that top part, much of that in the center. I can put anything I want to on that end over there. That dam won't be very tall over there, because the taller that is, the taller I've got to make it here. You always want the center of your dam to be a little taller than the ends, which that ground's already high, see? So basically just this center part's where I've got a lot of dirt, and that's where I'll put the majority of the dirt when I get it where it's good. When it gets all that gray stuff, that's just right. It'll go right in the center, and I can pack it and walk it in. So that's what it looks like this morning. And that'll get, the bigger the tank gets in the bottom, that's just concentrated right there in that little hole. But it's fresh water, it's good water. So Won't hurt a thing. So we'll let y'all see some of that later on while I do the dirt. So thanks for watching. Bye. Moving Dirt. Thanks for watching this channel. I took some elevation shot this morning, and I like 4 foot in the bottom of the hole, being down to the depth 15 foot below average ground. So it come a little rain last night, but that's water that's coming out of all this stuff up here that's seeping through that bank there and going down, which that's not going to hurt nothing. The only thing the rain did was make it a little bit sticky to stick to your feet and to your tracks. So I may rip that up, and that way it'll kind of mix it up, and I don't think I'll have no trouble climbing the slope. I got the center of the dam starting to come up pretty good. I'm taking everything out of here and trying to go from right there around to there. That's where I didn't put a lot of dirt, because it was all mud and gravel coming out of the side of the back of this bank. So that firmed up a little bit. I don't really need to do nothing back here where this stuff goes up this way, because the tank won't seep water. Water will come in, but it won't run back uphill. So as long as it don't go out the bottom or anywhere around the edge, we're okay, which that's just all good clay now all the way through there. But what it is, that one creek comes around this way, and that's where that one big vein of gravel is, and it used to come straight until this silted up. And that's another spot over here where it's kind of soft. I thought I might peel a little bit out, but I was wanting to get that down, that hard ground below it out, so when I go through there my blade don't stick on that hard ground, because when it sticks on that clay and my tracks is here on this stuff, if you ever spin one time, you're down. So I may just rip up kind of high and get that down a little bit. I mean, I could core this out and pack it back with clay, but that's not really going to hurt anything, because like I say, this water won't seep out uphill. It always seeps out going downhill. So I'll see. You can still see some of it. I mean, it's pretty soft, but that's what's hard when you back up. Just as soon as you hit tracks hit that, you just go down. But it's good stuff down there. And like I say, that little bit of water come out of that, some of that gravel right there, and it's not going to go out the bottom, I can promise you that. So 4 foot, I don't think I'll quite get that today. We still got a couple more chances of rain, a little bit today, and then closer to the weekend we get some more. So that looked like an egg sitting there, but it was a rock, pretty round. Anyway, I may try to put the camera up on the tripod since it's right there, and let you see some of that as I get it ripped up and start pushing out. So thanks for watching. Bye.